Hi, I'm Eleni, and I'm going to do a video on labels and reimagining labels. Now, as we grow up, we accumulate labels that are given to us by our parents or teachers or siblings or friends, society. We pick them up in our environments. And if they're repeated over time, and when we integrate them and start saying, yeah, that's me, that's when they become part of us. And the challenge with that is that we use them as adults without questioning them. Now, the labels are good or bad, positive, negative, whatever judgments we want to use, it doesn't matter. We can look at them with a judgment-free awareness as well. So in this video, what I suggest is using the Jungian approach. Carl Jung was a psychologist, a 20th century psychologist who was very insightful into the human mind and the human psyche. And instead of saying things are good or bad, he called them shadow or light. So the shadow meaning something's behind you and you can't see it. So it's using the shadow of the sun and saying, I can't see it. So often what we have in our shadow is things we are not aware of or something we don't like. So let's say we eat a lot of cookies and we're gluttonous. And if we are ashamed of that or don't like that, we can put it in our shadow. And in other words, we can start ignoring it or denying it. Other things in the shadow are things we really don't know, like skills or capabilities, ideas, gifts we have. We could have those in the shadow as well because we're just not aware of them. Now, the light is obviously like, okay, we see it, we usually like it, so we accept it. We can have some things in the light we don't like, but it's usually in the Jungian view of what I have banned or I'm unaware of, and the light is what I'm aware of and I accept. So let's say we are given a label of being a good girl or a good boy when we're children. And usually that's a good thing to get in our world that is very focused on trying to get kids to do one thing and not another. So there are two ways, or set to kind of shadow light approach. We could say the shadow part of that label could be perfectionism. So let's say we grew up and we got A's or maybe A pluses, and our parents would say, good job, excellent. A's, A pluses are what is excellent. And then let's say we did a crossword puzzle and then we got all the pieces in place. Good for you. And then we notice a trend, whether it's conscious or not. Children are really smart. We notice a trend and we notice whenever we don't make mistakes, we're called good. And that can lead us into perfectionism. We can start to say, oh, I have to be perfect to get that good, because we like to get good praises from our parents, our friends, our teachers. That's a positive thing. We always want to be seen and respected and appreciated. Let's say we do it every time, we get that label every time we're pleasing someone. So if a parent says, be quiet, otherwise it makes me angry, and then we want to please them because we don't want them to be angry at us. So we start to associate the pleasing others to feel good. And that's kind of a shadow side, because if you're dependent on somebody else to feel good, it traps your own freedom. Like you're not free to be able to be happy whether someone else is angry or not. So these can be seen as a shadow in the sense that they assume that we're not enough. Like perfectionism, I have to be perfect, I have to be without error. That's not necessarily human reality. While there are people who say every moment is perfect. So it depends on how we use the term. Now, the light side could be, I'm enough. Like I didn't hear the label as I have to be perfect or I have to be pleasing everyone or I have to do everything. I heard it as I'm okay. I'm enough. I'm accepted. I'm loved. So that's a light way, the light side of that label. And the reason this is so interesting and useful is because when we question the labels we have in our conscious or subconscious minds, we can use them in a very positive way, positive meaning, a resourceful way, a useful way, a way that helps us actually do what we want to do. So if we're good and we say, you know, I'm enough, and work from that state, you can imagine the triad that comes from that. I'm enough. then I don't have to wonder, do I have to please someone to feel enough? Do I have to be perfect to be enough? I'm already enough. And then I can go and meet people and do things and collaborate and create and solve problems from that state of mind. It's an empowering state of mind. It's calming. It's grounded. It's fun. Yeah? Let's take another example. Rebel. Many children who are told they're rebellious or they're rebels are not told that in a context of that's a good thing. Most people. So most people are said, you're bad, you're not listening, you're not obedient, you're not respectful, you're not. And so some children take this on as, okay, that's bad to be rebellious, but I'm still rebellious, but it's bad to be rebellious. And they can take it into a shadow view and say, okay, I can be then a rebel without a cause. That's a shadow experience. So I'll rebel against any authority, regardless of what they say. They might say brilliant things, but I don't care. I'm going to rebel against authority. And that's making me reactive. So when we're reactive and we're rebels without a cause, we kind of are floating in life. We're not focused. We're not doing things that might make us feel fulfilled. Now the shadow side is the light side is showing rebellious behavior is very useful, especially when things are not working well, as in today's historical times. So it could be like questioning the status quo. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be critical. It doesn't have to be in a harming way. It could be like, let's question what is happening. Let's question the hierarchy. Let's question each role we're taking. Am I taking a role looking for a hero leader to save me? Or am I taking part in, a problem and giving in, what I think? So I'm not waiting for someone in another hierarchical level to save me. I'm taking action. Maybe I'm rebelling against systems or structures that don't work, like the patriarchy, like the command and control systems, like all these habits that we have been using that don't get us the results we want. They don't get inclusivity. They don't get creative outcomes. The world is too complex for one person to be able to know things and then tell other people what to do. So that requires or begs the question of what other types of leadership styles could we use. So the rebel could be like, if we use it and say, okay, I'm rebellious, I have that skill set. How can I use that skill set to get things done, or to bring people together, or to question what's happening to see if we can create something better? And so we can use the labels we've been given and reimagine them, like use them for something positive that helps us, that we feel empowers us. And when I use positive, I mean it empowers us. It makes us feel active and in control and confident of what is happening in our lives. So if you want to take away, like question how you might use this in the immediate moment, you could think about or write down the list of labels you've had and that you've either heard repeatedly, that you think you are, like how you describe yourself. And then you can question, is it in a shadow form or in a light form? And then you can choose. You can choose what you want. But the thing I want to reiterate is the reason this is such a powerful exercise is because when we are children, we are put in circumstances we can't control. We're born into them in our families, in our communities. And we adapt to the environment. And those adaptations are often incredibly functional, meaning they teach us skills that we might have not had if we didn't face those problems. So let's say someone rebellious is from a very autocratic environment and they just feel trapped, or they're not given any choice. And so they feel like they have to push it to be able to feel alive. Now that pushing, even though it may come out like this, can be transmuted and changed to say, wow, I have the capacity to question people in the hierarchy. I have the capacity to see myself as an equal within a hierarchy. I have the capacity to stand up for a principle, even if other people attack me. So the magic in this exercise is to learn what skills we've learned and developed in face of these labels, whether it's shadow and light. Either way, we've developed the skills and we can hone them and move them into light, so to speak, and to into capacities that we can use deliberately and with wisdom to help us in our lives and help make positive change.